Hey everybody, Edgy Tim. Well, we were hoping this day would happen, and yep, it finally happened. We tentatively have dates for spring football for the COVID delayed 2020 season. Now moved to spring of 2021. As mentioned, IHSA released their entire schedule for all the sports that are set to begin, almost immediately. We certainly here at edgytim.com are concerned about all the sports, but my focus for over 25 years here has been high school football. So that is what we are going to discuss. So, again, if you're a subscriber to the Edgy Nation, we had been talking about kind of how this would shake out for probably over a week or so. So we had a pretty good handle, I think, on most of the main details of how this would shake out. We knew going in it was going to either be a 6 or 7 game regular season schedule, no postseason. I think what caught a lot of people by surprise, and it started to get leaked out maybe the last day or two, was the fact that football was going to be pushed back a little bit. Originally, back in July, when the only kind of guidance we got was very limited at best. It had mentioned a February 15th first day of practice, which I think it surprised some people that basketball was moved up. I know the basketball people have their thoughts and opinions on it, and who am I to disagree? I don't at all. I just think, and again, I give the IHSA a ton of credit on this. They're trying to fit in as much as they possibly can. There's no way in this scenario that you could avoid overlapping. And let's face it, there's overlapping already of sports in one way or another. This is just a little more intensified. So I think that caught people by surprise. And so again, we start first day of practice March 3rd. The games will begin March 19th. The season will end in April 24th. Ironically, my anniversary. So be kind of a nice anniversary, probably being out of a football game. But at this point, I think the wife is looking forward to me not being home and being out covering a football game. I'm sure many of you can relate. Bottom line is, and again, the message boards, that's what they're for. They're there to hear your opinion. And I know people are disappointed. I know coaches are disappointed. No postseason, no state title, and it's understandable. But you know what, folks, after all we've been through as a state, as IHSA football fans and supporters and parents and players, and really those that are very, very concerned and love our high school sports and our high school football, I'm just glad these kids get something to do now. One important thing, and I continue to stress this, we are not there yet. We still have to continue lowering the positivity numbers overall for COVID. That's been going on. That needs to continue to go on. We need to hit phase 4 before any of this is allowed. Most the Chicagoland areas in Tier 1, as I mentioned, the numbers continue to drop. But for this to happen, we've got to continue to wear masks and socially distance and follow all the protocols. So by all means, the battle has not been won. We've got a long way to go. So let's get there. So let's make sure we're getting there. Other thoughts as far as scheduling, we're just going to have to wait. I've talked to several ADs. There's AD meetings over the next day or two. So I think it's going to come together relatively quick. I think it's going to be, people talk about playing in your own COVID region and what have you. I just think this is going to fall in line with conferences. It's all going to be handled through the conferences. And again, if you're not a conference school, if you're an independent, you're going to have a hard time scheduling. I don't know how they're going to be able to get it done. But, and again, there's not a ton of schools that are independents, but there are a handful that I think could struggle. We'll get into that a little bit later. So again, right now, it's a case of getting a schedule put together. I'm sure once that's done, the IHSA will get it released. In the meantime, contact days, weight rooms are open. Kids are going to be allowed to do that and to start getting ready, and it's great. Again, I give IHSA all the credit in the world. Yes, they could have done things differently. Yes, they could have handled a lot of different situations differently. I've said from the beginning, I thought they had their hands tied in many ways. Certainly politically, they had their hands tied. And I felt under the circumstances, and again, circumstances that no one has ever had to experience and deal with before. I think they had the kids' best interest in mind. But again, I think they were handcuffed and had very limited resources and very limited things that they could actually pull off without, getting the clear and the go ahead from state officials and certainly the governor's office. So again, very happy. So we'll have a 6-week season. And my initial thoughts are, we could have some fun with this, meaning it's going to be 6 weeks. I think my coverage is going to get a little bit different. As of right now, I have no TV or media responsibilities. Little sad about that. That might change. I don't know. But if things stay status quo right now, I could tell you right now, immediately, I'm going to travel these 6 weeks. I am going to go to some different spots that I haven't been to in years that I want to get back. I want to get out of Chicagoland on a Friday night. It's just going to happen. Yes, I will hit up some bigger games, but again, it's a 6-week schedule, so it's very limited. And I want to make these 6 weeks count. I really want to get out on the road and go see some places and some schools and some different areas that I haven't had a chance to do in a while because of my media responsibilities, which, don't get me wrong, I love media responsibilities. I miss TV. I miss NBC Sports Chicago. Great people to do work with, and just, it was a blast. And I hope someday I get that opportunity. But in the meantime, as long as my schedule remains freed up, I'm going to take full advantage. I have some ideas in the back of my head as far as coverage and maybe doing some things differently. If you go to the free board today, I start talking about a bowl series, setting up different bowl games, because let's face it, we're not going to have a playoff. So let's have some fun with it. Let's create a bowl series and try to place teams in different bowls and see how that shakes out. Rankings, I think, could take on a new meaning this non-state championship year. We hear for times, it doesn't matter. Polls don't matter. Rankings don't matter, because the only ranking that matters if you're playing in late November in Champaign or DeKalb. Well, guess what? Not going to happen this year. So I'm going to try to have some fun with that. I'm thinking about getting some others involved, maybe trying to get some type of statewide consensus on things. We'll see. That's what I love about this. It gives me kind of a blank canvas to do some different things, to try a little bit different from a coverage standpoint. So stay tuned. I'm going to have a lot coming your way. Now, so I have this big backlog of team information. I've got almost 200 teams, early previews. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to contact all those coaches, obviously find out if their roster has changed. I know some schools obviously have gotten some transfers in. Unfortunately, some schools also have had kids transfer out. I think that's certainly one of the biggest questions all of us need to ask of our schools and our favorite programs. How much different is this? Have kids left? Are they already enrolled in college in the spring? It's going to have an impact on some teams. It's going to have a positive impact on some others. So that's going to be a storyline for sure. So again, I'm going to kind of clean up that information. I have a couple of new additions into those team previews in mind that I think I'm going to roll out, and I started that yesterday. So I think you'll like it. I think it'll add an element that we hadn't done before. And again, really we'll put some work into what generally has kind of been a cookie cutter. Here's the information from the coaches, boom, have fun at it. I think I'm going to dig a little deeper on this one this time and give you a little bit extra. So nothing wrong with that. And looking forward to that challenge. So again, once we get schedules, once we get an idea of what it's going to look like, I probably will go out and probably select 6 weeks worth of games that I want to go see and cover. And we'll take it from there. I hope we get a mix of Friday and Saturday games, please, so I can spread out and get out to even more places. I think that'll happen. I think especially early in the year, because of weather. If we start mid-March, towards the end of March, maybe the first couple of weeks, you'll see some schools maybe start playing on a Saturday because of weather. Either way, it's time to bundle up and get going. So I'm looking forward to that. Some other things, rankings. I kind of had the framework in mind in place already. If you go to the Edgy Nation board, By the way, that 60-day free trial is going to remain for the whole season. So again, I think it's one of the best deals we had for new subscribers. You basically get in free, you get free access for 60 days, and then we'll start billing you after that. But in the meantime, knock yourself out. So go check that out, get a 60-day free sub, and go look at what's prepared. And again, I'm already starting to work on polling stuff, get a little more specific, tweak some things. And I will re-release all of that stuff probably relatively soon. Recruiting will continue. Again, it's going to be fun just to see what seniors will benefit. Again, that's a big question in all of this. I know there's still a lot of seniors that haven't committed. A lot of schools have told them they want to see tape. I just don't know what's out there from an offer standpoint. I don't think a lot, but this whole lockdown has an impact on underclassmen recruiting as well. So I think it's going to be fun to see all of a sudden a bunch of kids recruiting stock and offers start spiking after the first couple of weeks of spring football. It's going to also be an interesting aspect to watch and see if NCAA eventually lifts the dead period, because once that happens, we will start seeing college coaches in high schools. We will start seeing, I think, a lot of coaches at high school games, because let's face it, some of these schools are playing. So that'll derail them getting out and seeing some high school games, but a lot of others aren't. And I think as long as they're allowed to travel, I think it could be really interesting to see if that changes, if maybe the younger class, and there's benefits to this, believe it or not. I think one of the benefits of no fall but playing a spring season is those younger 2022s, 23s, they've had a longer time to train. They've had a longer time to prepare for a season, and they've got a chance right away here in the spring to show the progression that they've made. And it's giving fresh film where, kids that have already played a junior year, they've been done for a couple of months now and won't be able to really show anything until the spring if they reopen the NCAA dead period. So again, if that dead period remains closed, I think the Illinois kids in particular might have a little leg up, at least the underclassmen, with recruiting, because they'll actually be generating fresh film where these other kids won't be able to be seen in person. Again, definitely, I think a positive there a little bit from the recruiting aspect. So again, a lot of different ways I plan to approach it. Lots of video coming. I got lots of plans for continuing the video streams and different interviews and live shows, and just look forward to the challenge. It's going to be a sprint. There's no doubt. There's no marathon running for this upcoming spring and then leading into 2021. This is going to be a sprint. So looking forward to it. Looking forward to you being a part of it and being part of the ride, and stay tuned. Lots of good stuff. I hope, I'm certainly planning on lots of good stuff coming your way. Thanks again. Let's go watch some football.